Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is True Crime Tuesday yet again, and today's case is a bit different from the others that I have covered in the past. I usually start off my videos with a brief history on the victim or the perpetrator, but in today's case, we don't really know much about either because they were both minors when the crime happened. So having that said, let's go ahead and dive into this case. Okay, so first and foremost, I would like to mention that Japan has laws that protects minors despite what they did. Therefore, we don't know what our perpetrator's name is, but she is known to the public as Girl A. So for this video, we will be referring to this girl as Girl A or A. So June 1st, 2004 was a normal school day in the city of Sasebo in Nagasaki, Japan. Everyone got up in the morning thinking that it would be just like any other day. However, this would not be true, especially for the students and staff of Okobu Elementary School. 11-year-old girl a sixth grader, lured in one of her classmates and her former best friend Satomi into one of the school's empty classrooms, with the premise that they would skip class and instead play games. Without thinking much, Satomi agreed and cheerily followed Girl A into this empty classroom. However, A actually had something more sinister in mind. Satomi was then asked to sit down, and once she did, without any hesitation, Girl A proceeds to take out a box cutter from her pocket and slashed Satomi's throat before cutting her wrists. After this, Girl A calmly proceeds back to their classroom, seemingly unbothered. However, her teacher as well as her classmates were of course stunned when they saw her uniform covered in blood. Now, they initially thought that A had gotten hurt in one way or another. However, the teacher was quick to realize that Satomi, who was in class earlier, was now nowhere to be found. And then, therefore, this teacher started looking for Satomi. In a matter of a few minutes, the teacher was able to locate Satomi. However, at this point, Satomi was already laying in a pool of her own blood and seemed lifeless. School authorities tried to call for help. However, it was already too late at this point because once the ambulance arrived, 12-year-old Satomi had already suffered from heart failure due to blood loss. Now, since there were no other suspects in the crime, Girl A was taken into police custody right away for questioning, and this is when she started to apologize profusely, saying that she didn't really want to hurt Satomi, but she did feel bad about something and she felt like she needed to get her revenge. When asked why she would do such thing, she pulled out her cell phone, showing the authorities a few screenshots of the derogatory messages that Satomi had been posting about Girl A on an internet message board. Now, apparently, Girl A was deeply hurt when Satomi, whom she thought of as a good friend, had publicly shamed her because of her looks, calling her ugly and calling her out for her weight and saying that she was a goody two-shoes. Now, upon further investigation, Nagasaki police actually discovered that Girl A had this whole webpage or blog dedicated to a game called the Red Room and the very brutal and graphic film Battle Royale. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the game Red Room is about. However, I have actually seen Battle Royale once. It was a movie about high school students that were brought to this island and they had to murder each other in order to survive. And whoever does wins. So, yeah, it's pretty graphic, pretty wild, especially for an 11-year-old girl like Girl A. And Yes, this movie was as brutal as it sounds, and that's why it was banned in so many countries worldwide. Now, going back to this case, a few months prior to the murder occurring, Girl A had actually written some concerning comments and posts on her webpage saying that agony dominated her life and questioning if there really was a God. She had a lot of very disturbing and frankly very sad comments and statuses posted online. So it really seems that this girl really did need a lot of help. We don't know how her home life was, but it seems like she was having a difficult time and didn't get the help that she needed. So that's pretty sad. Girl A also revealed that 4 days before everything went down, she had seen the news and there was a report wherein someone got stabbed or murdered using a box cutter, and this is where she got her idea from. Now, further into the investigation and the questioning, investigators then realized that Girl A didn't really seem to understand the consequences of her actions. She kept on saying that she hurt Satomi, and this is when they figured out that she had no idea that she had actually ended someone's life. Girl A even stated in court that she would like to apologize to Satomi in person to ask for her forgiveness and if they could be friends again. So she had no idea that she actually killed this girl. Initially, Girl A was sentenced to 2 years of involuntary commitment at a reformatory facility. However, upon further analysis and psychological evaluation, her stay was extended for another 2 years. And during her stay at this reformatory facility, she was diagnosed officially with Asperger's syndrome. Now, Asperger's syndrome was a neurodevelopmental disorder that is no longer considered or recognized as a diagnosis itself. It has now been merged into the autism spectrum disorder or ASD. And people with Asperger's often have difficulties with social interaction, nonverbal communication, and repetitive patterns of behaviors and interests, which explains Girl A's obsession with the Red Room and Battle Royale. Basically, children with Asperger's struggled in terms of forming friendships and understanding others' emotions. After her release from this facility at the age of 15, she was kept under police surveillance up until she was 20 years old. Right after this, she and her family moved to an undisclosed location in Japan, and Girl A, who is now 29 years old, is living as a free woman. Now, this case is known in Japan as the Sasebo Slashing case. However, you might be wondering why it is known all over the world as the Nevada Tan case when it did happen in Sasebo, Nagasaki, Japan. Apparently, a class photo of Girl A and her classmates was taken on that day, and she was wearing a hoodie with the University of Nevada logo on it. Now, tan, Nevada tan is a suffix that is added onto a child's name as a term of endearment. And since nobody actually knew A's name because of the Japanese law that protects minors, everyone online started to call her Nevada Tan instead of Girl A, which was what she was called in the media outlets and on the news. Now, on this same day, another photo of Girl A was also taken by her classmate directly after the murder took place. So in this photo, she was wearing the same University of Nevada hoodie with blood smeared all over that and her uniform, as well as her hands and her face. Now, the original photo was actually seized by the police for evidence. However, it was recreated and circulated online. This recreation was then recreated into several different versions, and all of it became viral and even became a popular meme online, to the point where it was even romanticized and idolized by people. Now, a lot of people had even created fan art inspired by Girl A seemingly creating an online shrine for her and what she did. And a German rock band even named themselves Nevada Tan as a tribute to her, which is crazy. But on a crazier note, a band called The Fecal Matter Discorporated wrote an album entirely dedicated to Girl A and other Japanese little girls who have committed murders or are planning to. And that is just horrible, in my opinion. Basically, Girl A, who murdered her classmate, had a massive cult following. People worshipped her. And the University of Nevada even reportedly pulled out that specific hoodie design from their catalog because Girl A's fans would buy the item and then use it for cosplay. They would buy the item, use it as a costume, and just dress up as Girl A. Now, as a true crime fan myself, I do understand the curiosity on a certain crime or perpetrator, but it's usually because I want to know what caused them to do such heinous things. Like, how were they raised? What was their home life like? Were they suffering from an undiagnosed mental illness? Something like that. You know, like a lot of us are fascinated by the psychology behind these crimes and the people involved. But I don't really get the obsession towards them, these criminals. I don't get how people could idolize and romanticize these people who have hurt others, you know, just like Ted Bundy, for example, or Isabella Guzman. Also, if you want me to cover any of those cases or any other case, please let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, I really find that disturbing and I think it's way out of line. Also, something that I would really like to briefly touch on this video is the importance of guidance and mental health support, especially for children. Girl A was obviously suffering, and I'm not trying to justify what she did. However, I think that this, along with many other cases involving children or teens, could have been prevented if these perpetrators had received the psychological attention that they needed, starting at a very young age. And sadly, mental health issues is usually pushed to the side, especially here in Asia and especially in kids or for kids. A lot of adults think that kids don't have real problems just because they're young and they haven't really lived life as much as we have. But there are kids out there who have real problems that need real solutions, real kids that need real help. So before I end this video, I would like to remind you guys that if you see or feel like someone is suffering in silence, lend them an ear, listen to them. Sometimes all they need is an outlet and try to help. But if you can't, reach out to someone who could. And yeah, that's it for today's video. I know I didn't really talk much about the victim Satomi, but as I have mentioned, that's because I really couldn't find a lot of information about Satomi or Girl A or their families because Japan has strict laws when it comes to protecting minors in these cases, whether they are the victim or the perpetrator. And I hope you guys understand. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you guys on my next video.